Good morning, third graders. It is Wednesday, April 22nd, and we are starting a new chapter in math, chapter 25. So you should be on lesson 25.1, page 542 in your hard books if you want to follow along. Today's objective is to model division of two-digit numbers. And you're going to see it's a little different than what we've been doing because you can actually divide one digit at a time with the way these problems are set up. So we're going to go ahead and look at that together, and we're going to look at how we can model division problems using base 10 blocks. I know you guys don't have base 10 blocks at home, but I'd like to show you the strategy of how you can use base 10 blocks, and we'll use a video to help us show that. But if you're following along in your hard book, it says you can use what you know about division facts to help you divide a two-digit number by a one-digit number. The question they're proposing is how can you use base 10 blocks to divide two-digit numbers? And it says, for practice, 46 runners divided into two equal groups. How many runners are in each? So if you look at this division problem and we set it up as 46 divided by 2, you'll see that now you can look at 2 can actually divide into 4 equally, and 2 can divide into 6 equally, and I'll show you that a little bit more later. But I want to show you how this division is a little bit different than what we've been doing, is that you can actually divide the divisor into each number into the dividend. But let's go back to the base 10 blocks. So when we're looking at base 10 blocks, it says use base 10 blocks to show 46. So as you can see, she has her little French fry 10s, and so she has 10, 20, 30, 40, and we've got our tens place of 4, so she's got the correct number of tens blocks. And then we have 6 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she has the 46 base 10 blocks as shown. And in number 2, it says divide the 10 blocks into 2 groups. Your groups must be equal in size and as large as possible. So that's a key. Make sure they're as large as possible because, yeah, you can make that into a bunch of smaller groups, but that's not what you want to do. You want to do them into 2 equal groups as large as possible. Well, 2 equal groups for this one. It says divide the ones blocks into 2 equal groups. Put 3 in each group because 6 can be divided into equal groups of 3. That's why she put 3 in each one. And then it says draw a quick picture to show your work. Now this is what you can do at home. Instead of having the base 10 blocks, you can just draw the picture. You can draw the sticks, the French fry sticks, as your 10s, and you can do little dots as your 1s. So that's another way that you can do it. So if you were to say, for our problem, which is 46 divided by 2, once she divided the base 10 blocks equally, she got 2 groups of 23, as shown right here. She has 10, 20, 1, 2, 3. So you can say that 46 divided into 2 is 23. And it's a solution. There are 23 runners in each group. So let me show you that on a different page, working out the problem. Sorry, that was yesterday's. So if we have 46 divided into the 2 equal groups, let me move this. So the way you're going to do that now, since they divide evenly, hold on, let me move this up. 46 divided by 2. You're going to look at each number one at a time. So you're going to say 2 does divide into 4. How many times can 2 go into 4? It'll go 2 times, kind of like that. It's that little multiplication symbol there. 2 times 2 is 4. So you're going to put your 4 there. And you're still going to do what you were doing before. You're still going to subtract. Here's the new step. Now what do you do with the 6? You have to bring it down. So once you bring it down, now you can divide. 2 goes into 6. How many times? 3. So 3 times 2 is 6. And you get 0. It divides in equally. So does this number right here, 23, match the base 10 blocks that were in your hard book? Yes, it does. And we'll go back to that. And as you can see, our answer was 23 with her base 10 blocks. So you can use base 10 blocks, or you can just use your division method to go ahead and divide this. Now, I'm going to show you guys a short video on dividing with base 10 blocks. If you want to get out a scratch paper, do it along with them. You can pause the video when they put up the problem and see if you can work the problem on your own, or you can just watch the entire video. It's up to you.
Base 10 blocks to model long division. In this particular problem, we have a 2-digit number, 57. That means it has tens and it has ones. So we're going to need tens and ones blocks in order to build 57. So we're going to need 7 ones, so we'll have 7 of these ones cubes, and we'll need 5 tens, so we'll have 5 of these tens rods. Once you put them in front of you, you can put them together if you want. I've separated them here so you can see them a little easier, more visually. And I put my ones in a row of 5 and 2, so again, it's easy to see right away how many I have. But there's 57 built with 5 tens and ones. Now, how are we going to divide these into 3 groups? Well, on a piece of paper, you can draw a big rectangle that's going to be big enough to fit at least one of your tens in it, a couple of them, and you want to build 3 of those. Or you can just set aside an area. But it's probably best if you draw 3 rectangles at first to give you an idea of dividing these 57 blocks into 3 groups. And while we're using the blocks, I'm going to be showing you the standard algorithm over here so that you can see what's going on when you divide each and every step. And our first step is going to be to divide the tens. Well, what number is in the tens column? It's a 5. Now, 5 is in the dividend, and it's being divided by 3. 3 is the divisor. If the divisor is bigger than the dividend, then you're not going to be able to divide by tens. But for this model, we can, because there's 5 tens, and we're dividing them into 3 equal groups. So we're going to take one of those tens and put it over here into one of 3 groups. Grab another 10, put it into another, the second group. Grab a third 10, put it into the third group. And now I have, if you look, 2 tens left over that I cannot divide equally into the 3 groups. So I'm done dividing the tens. So in the algorithm, we would write a 3 underneath the 5 to show that we put 3 tens into our groups. And that means we use 3 tens out of the 5. How many tens are in each group? 1. That's the part of the quotient up here is our answer. So far, dividing 57 by 3, we come up with 1 even group of tens for each of the 3 groups. And that means we have 2 tens left over, right? So in the standard algorithm, we do 5 minus the 3 that we divided. Leaves us with 2 more tens that have to be dealt with somehow. But we can't divide them by 3. So what are we going to do with them? We're going to regroup them, which means we're going to break apart these 2 rods of tens and turn them into ones, like this. With your base 10 blocks, you'll want to grab one of these groups of tens and turn it into 10 ones. I'm just going to take each and every little cube here and move it over. Quickly, I'll keep them in rows of 5 again so it's visually easy to see what's going on. And I'm just going to take all of these cubes from my 20 that I had in my 2 tens, and I'm going to make them ones so that I can divide them by 3. So I no longer have 2 extra sets of tens. I've broken them down all into ones, and how many ones do I have? I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 27. And so that's with your cubes. In the algorithm, you're going to take the 7 that you had, and you're going to bring it down. That's what they'll teach you. next to the 2 to represent that you now have 27 ones that we're going to divide. Now, if you remember when we were talking about subtraction and we borrowed, and we had to regroup, and I told you that this was an illegal number, well, temporarily this is an illegal number, because you can't have 27 ones in the ones column. We can only have 9 in our base 10 system. But we're going to put 27 in there only because we need to divide them into 3. Okay, getting that? So there's 27 ones left here, and in the standard algorithm, there's 27 ones left here that we can now divide by 3. And we will divide those ones into the 3 groups, just like we did before when we were dividing the 10s, one at a time. So let's grab them. Take one of your blocks and move it in. 1, 2, 3. One at a time, put them in. We want them to be done evenly. Come on, there we go. But what's better than saying 1, 2, 3 is probably to count how many are going to each group, which is going to give us a better answer. There's 2 in each group. There's 3 in each group, right? There's 4 in each group. See what I'm getting at? I'm going to keep doing this until we have all of those 27 ones now distributed evenly into each of the 3 groups. And you'll notice that there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 in each of the 3 groups. So that's the number we write up here. How many ones were we able to put in each group? 9. And that's because 9 times 3 is 27. That's what you do in the standard algorithm now. We had to think 27 divided by 3. Well, that's 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Now we're going to subtract. And fortunately, we have 0 left over, so there's no remainder. Notice how there's nothing left here?
All right, guys. So that's how you would use base 10 blocks if you're comfortable using them or drawing them. You may do that as well. We're going to go ahead and look at our homework. So if you have your homework page, which is homework packet, page 231 and 232, which is the word problems, you'll see this on there, and it gives you an example up top with the base 10 blocks. It says if students are dividing into 2 equal groups, how many students would be in each group? So they set up using the 24 base blocks. They divide it into the 2 equal groups because that's what the problem's telling us. So they divided the 24 blocks into 2 groups, and 24 divided by 2 is 12, or you can look at it the other way. 12 times 2 is 24 to check your work. And once he separated them, he sees he has 10, 11, 12. So the answer would be 12. So what you're going to do is use blocks to complete the table. You don't, like I said, you don't have to use the blocks. You don't have them at home. So you can just go ahead and set your groups up. What it wants you to do is use the blocks to complete the table. Like I said, don't have to. You can just, it wants you to put the first number, or it gave you the first number of 30 and the number of equal groups. So these are your division problems right here. 30 divided by 3. And they set it up right here, show the division, 30 divided by 3, they gave you the problem, which is 10. So if you did it with base 10 blocks, you'd end up with 10 blocks. If you did it, or 10 groups, sorry. And if you did it just by doing the multiplication, or the division problem of 30 divided by 3, it would go in 10 equal times. The next one they want you to look at is 44 divided by 4, and we'll do that one together, and then I'll have you do the rest by yourself. So they have 44 divided by 4. I want to see if I can get it on here for you guys. So if I did 44 divided by 4, I can do each one into there. That's not going to show very well. Let me flip the screen. So if I do 44 divided by 4, I can divide each individual digit. So 4 gets divided into 4 one time, and 1 times 4 is 4. I still have my number that's left over. I need to bring it down. And again, 4 gets divided into 4 one time, and 1 times 4 is 4. I know that a lot of you could probably mental math this, just knowing 4 goes into 44 11 times, but I want you to get in the habit of being able to do the steps of the division problem, okay? So just keep practicing with this, even if you can mental math it. It's just a good habit in getting into knowing the steps of division and having to bring the next number down. So you can go ahead and keep practicing with that. When you're done with this assignment, go ahead and take a picture of it, send it to your teacher, hold on to it for the turn-in day. And the other thing that we're asking you to do today is to practice on IXL section I.4. It's write division sentences with arrays. It's just a little bit of review from last week. Have a great day, guys. If you have any questions, please go ahead and feel free to email your teachers. Bye, guys.